Well, a very good evening to you. It's just 2 minutes to the top of the hour and you're watching NTV Tonight with the latest headlines from across the country and beyond. Here's some of our top stories tonight. Tonight, COVID-19 is suffocating Kenya's healthcare system and there's not enough oxygen.
Actually, all the hospitals are going through a medical oxygen crisis.
We have got about 20,000 oxygen cylinders that are out there in people's homes, that are in hospitals and other institutions. Now, these cylinders are required back to the industry immediately.
Also tonight, Kenya records its highest daily COVID-19 infection rate. 1 in every 4 people tested was infected.
Mr. President, you and your fellow politicians are to blame for this devastating third wave.
The rush to get the COVID-19 vaccine is on. Plus, the lockdown is locking out livelihoods.
The Jubilee administration did not outline any measures to address these hardships as they announced the lockdown.
Any cushion for those hit by the new containment measures?
I cannot give you a specific answer to that right now.
But COVID-19 millionaires still walk scot-free.
The second lockdown is providing more opportunities for continued looting unless drastic action is taken now.
And 500,000 refugees whose refuge is coming to an end. They plead their case as they clutch on straws.
We make more prisoners in the camp and also Kenya government will benefit for it.
Our special report on the Kakuma and Dadaab camp's closure order.
NTV Tonight with Zainab Ismail.
And I'm not alone. On the sign language interpretation with me this evening is David Agondoa. We begin with something extremely simple, a breath. For most of us, breathing is the easiest thing to do because oxygen is naturally available in the air. But for many COVID-19 patients, breathing is not that simple because oxygen is an expensive luxury. But now the country is facing a crisis as oxygen cylinders go missing, straining hospitals' capacity to provide this life-saving gas as demand for oxygen grows. Gina Kirori begins our broadcast.
It has by extension been the lifeline many have hung onto, gasping for its precious elements in a bid to fight off the unrelenting effects of the virus. For James, not his real name, oxygen would prove to be what got him out of the intensive care unit after a tumultuous night of transitioning from one hospital to another in search of it.
I was put on oxygen, both in KU. When I talked to the doctor, he said that it is 80% and that was below the expected level of 90%.
His condition had deteriorated to an extent. Many of those around him began to spread rumors that he had passed on.
I was taken to an isolation room where I was alone. It was only the doctors and other service providers who were visiting me, whom I could talk to.
But this very lifeline is now in short supply, putting lives of COVID patients who need it at risk.
All the hospitals are going through a medical oxygen crisis.
But as the medical fraternity raises alarm over the looming crisis, the government finds itself accused of lack of seriousness.
If we continue like this, the hospitals are going to miss oxygen. We are going to lose patients. Why is the government not taking the oxygen crisis as something that needs to be addressed with a lot of concern?
The Ministry of Health, however, is shifting blame.
We have got about 20,000 oxygen cylinders that are out there in people's homes, that are in hospitals and other institutions.
Any cylinder you have in your hands can save somebody's life.
The ministry has, however, failed to explain how it can lose track of those who have oxygen cylinders in their homes. COVID-19 is a respiratory illness that makes the lungs vulnerable to inflammation and filling it with fluid, thereby making it difficult to process oxygen and carbon dioxide. This is what makes breathing difficult. Supplemental oxygen aids in the process by increasing the amount of oxygen in the lungs and blood, therefore helping a patient recover from the virus. In light of the shortage, some private companies are now offering to donate oxygen to all public hospitals across the country. The simple act of breathing in and out has proven to be of immeasurable value for many of those that had to fight COVID-19 within the confines of hospital walls or even at home. But now, the oxygen cylinders that proved to be the heroines in this situation are scarce, leaving thousands of patients vulnerable as they try to fight off the virus. Gena Kirori, NTV.
Well, in the few weeks that the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine has been in the country, concern has been raised over the low number of people who turned up for the jab, many of them staying away due to safety concerns. But President Uhuru Kenyatta's move last week to receive the vaccine publicly seems to have given Kenyans the motivation they needed, as many facilities across the country reported increased number of people turning up for the jab. In Kiambu, some even caused a scene due to the long waiting time. Naoma Sampao reports.
In the days that followed the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine in the country, many Kenyans expressed their lack of confidence in it, as many in the targeted groups stayed away. But 2 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta and First Lady Margaret Kenyatta received the jab,
sasa hapo ndio waliona kuna ukweli na wakaona hiyo sindano haidhuru, kwa sababu kama kiongozi wa nchi anakubali kudungwa, kwa hivyo haina makosa, kwa sababu watu walikuwa wanaogopa pengine ukidungwa pengine utaugua ugonjwa wengine ama italeta shida, damu itaganda kwenye mwili. Lakini sasa watu wameona kuna ukweli kwamba ukidunga itakusaidia.
Hospitals in Murang'a and Kiambu counties have experienced an influx of people seeking the jab. The Murang'a County Health Department has called upon the national government to supply more doses of the vaccine to counties to serve as many residents as possible.
Watu walikuwa zaidi ya watu kama tuseme kama 2,000 hivi. Na wale wamefaulu ni watu 200. Wengine tukaambiwa tuje kesho.
In Kiambu, persons aged 58 years and above scrambled to be inoculated. Some even caused a scene for having to wait too long for their turn. The hospital management was forced to reschedule immunizing a section of the elderly persons after they were overpowered by the huge queues.
By now, under the COVAX facility, we are supposed to have received 40 million doses for the African continent. Currently, we have just received 12 million doses. So you can see the gap that is there. And our appeal, not just to India, but to other countries, is that we reduce vaccine nationalism so that there is fair and transparent distribution.
Health CS Mutaikagwe urged countries supplying the vaccine to increase supply to Africa in order to allow for more willing Kenyans to get the jab. Naoma Sampao, NTV.
It's day 3 of the indefinite lockdown of 5 counties and the anger is palpable. The clergy is up in arms and Kenyans are not amused. All this directed at President Uhuru Kenyatta for the new COVID-19 containment measures he announced on Friday. NAK Kenya Party leader Martha Karua says the whole issue has been handled haphazardly, while the clergy are questioning the closure of churches and mosques. Our NTV's senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mrethi captures the frustrations over the new lockdown.
Pray for you, even though I'm very angry with you, Mr. President.
A video that has gone viral of a preacher calling out President Uhuru Kenyatta for the recent lockdown captures the raw emotions of Kenyans, weighed down by the effects of the coronavirus pandemic.
Your Excellency, the people of this country have suffered.
The video asks President Kenyatta to rethink his move and have an inclusive meeting to agree on fresh ways to contain COVID-19.
Mr. President, let me put it to you plainly. It is this careless action by you, the politicians, that has made the rallies to become the super spreaders of this virus.
His views being shared by his fellow clergymen, who argue that President Kenyatta rushed to take action against churches, yet they had adhered to the laid down protocols to control the spread of the coronavirus.
Inaonekana sasa ni kama shetani hatumani, ni yeye mwenyewe anakuja kuharibu kanisa na maisha ya watu wa Mungu, kuharibu kanisa, kwani basi sinafunguliwa mpaka saa 2, lakini sasa kanisa inafungwa.
The clergy wants the president to revise the new measures and ask government to collaborate with them.
The church can become a very good ally for you in this fight against corona. When IEBC wanted to register voters, they came to our compounds and we welcomed them. They would come every morning and we will tell our congregation, if you've not registered, go and register as a voter. Don't you think if you do the same with the COVID vaccination and testing, you would yield the same results?
In sharing the sentiments of the clergy, NAK Kenya party leader Martha Karua accuses the government of disobeying its own protocols for fighting the coronavirus pandemic and holds the president responsible.
These 5 counties are the gateway to all the other counties of Kenya. So in effect, this cessation of movement in 5 counties is in effect a lockdown of the entire country.
Karua now wants cash transfers enhanced, vaccination rolled out to all Kenyans at government's cost, and COVID-19 testing to be made free in the 5 counties. She also wants action taken on those linked with KEMSA theft.
If the COVID billionaires and millionaires remain unpunished, any funds provided are likely to again be abused and misused.
There are those within government who believe that had President Uhuru Kenyatta started to engage the different stakeholders, then decision-making would have taken longer, thus taking the step he did on Friday. According to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the numbers were rising so steadily, and by the time he was closing the 5 counties, the percentage was at 22. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV in Nairobi County.
To the COVID-19 numbers now, and today the country has hit a new COVID-19 peak with a positivity rate of 26.6% from the 16.4% recorded on Sunday. 902 people have in the last 24 hours tested positive for the coronavirus from a sample size of 3,395, raising the national caseload to 131,116. Sadly, 18 deaths have also been reported in that time frame, all of them being late death reports from facility record audits that occurred on diverse dates, thereby pushing the cumulative fatalities to 2,135. But on a positive note, 407 patients recovered from the virus, 237 from the home-based isolation and care, while 170 were discharged from various health facilities, taking the total recoveries to 92,161. There are currently 1,270 patients admitted in various hospitals across the country. Another 4,620 are on the home-based care program. And we certainly wish a speedy recovery to those recovering. And tens of litigants were left stranded outside the gates of the Milimani Law Courts in Nairobi following the directive issued by Acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu barring physical access to the courts in the 5 counties under lockdown. Some of the litigants seeking legal redress say they have been left in a state of limbo. But Chief Magistrate Francis Andai, who addressed the members of the public who had come to the court, said all hearings and plea taking falling under his jurisdiction shall be conducted through virtual links. He urged them to bear with the new regulations being part of the containment measures of COVID-19. He said that all pleas will be taken at respective police stations as directed by the Chief Justice. Justice Mwilu, in her circular, said the raft of measures issued by President Uhuru Kenyatta gave the judiciary an opportunity to come up with its own guidelines to comply with the rules under COVID containment.
When I want to enter inside the court premises, I'm being told to go back to Capital Police Station that's where pre are being taken. So I fail to understand, would I get justice at the police station? So that's why I'm wondering whether the system is there to delay justice to the complainant. Also, that's what I'm complaining, and that's my world.
Well, frustration all over. And border riders have been cautioned against ferrying passengers across police roadblocks in the 5 counties that are under cessation of movement. This comes hours after the presidential directive on the cessation of movement across the 5 counties took effect. Police at the Mau Summit border post had a tough time trying to contain the tens of pedestrians as well as border riders who were trying to cross the barricade. Private vehicles too have been warned against using back routes to avert police checkpoints. Elsewhere at Dundori along the Nakuru-Nyandarua counties, tens of road users were forced to turn back after they failed to provide relevant documentation that permits them to cross the roadblocks.
Wenye wako na magari ya kubeba abiria wamekuwa wajanja, wanashukisha abiria huko mbali na pikipiki na wapepa na wanapitia vichochoroni, hatimaye hiyo magari wanachukulia sehemu zingine.
Kuna wengi ambao wameshikwa, matatu, magari za binafsi, na zote zile zimeshikwa zilienda kotini asubuhi. Na bado tutashika tu.
Meanwhile, ferry services will be temporarily withdrawn from Wednesday at the Likoni Crossing Channel in Mombasa, and commuters directed to use the pedestrian floating bridge. This also comes as the county's Emergency Response Committee on COVID-19 plans closure of all madrasa and Sunday school lessons in the region.
Kuanzia Jumatano ya wiki hii, katika ile time ambayo itakuwa imewekwa katika hiyo schedule ya orodha, matatu yote na wananchi wote watakuwa wanaelekezwa kwenda kupitia au kutumia ile floating bridge badala ya kutumia ferry.
Also, we have agreed and proposed closure of madrasas and Sunday schools with the immediate effect. That is, immediate effect is as at now going ahead. Elderly of 55 years and above are advised not to attend religious congregation, as 90% of the COVID-19 deaths affect the elderly within this age group.
And 188 nurses from Kirinyaga County that were sacked by Governor Anne Waiguru for participating in a strike have now been reinstated by the Public Service Commission. This comes following an appeal by the Kenya Union of Nurses to the Public Service Commission calling on the board to intervene. In a letter to the Kirinyaga County Services Board, PSC ordered the county to reinstate the sacked workers, terming their removal as unlawful. The nurses went to strike 2 years ago, complaining of poor working conditions. They're now expected to resume duty on Wednesday.
The decision which followed that unlawful procedure definitely has to come with the consequences. That is, if you unlawfully dismiss somebody, you have to pay that person benefits. And maybe the salary that person could have been getting that time was unlawful or illegally dismissed.
And we take a short breather here on NTV Tonight. Stay with us, we still have more lined up for you.
Baby shark, have you seen this beautiful place?
Mommy, what is Welcome to Garden of Joy?
Buy a value-added plot of land at the Garden of Joy off Kangundo Road that has solar street lights, elevated water tank, and guaranteed security. Deposit 700,000 and get 16K and your Istanbuzi is sorted. Call us on 0790 300 300.
Wow, thank you for your time.
And do you have any question for us?
How juicy.
Juicy. Juicy. Niko fiti maze niko fiti majamana mabenti wako fiti. Juicy fruit.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
This looks different.
It is. See for yourself.
Okay, so it's a photo.
Look closer. Photos within photos.
What about video?
8K video. Beyond cinema quality.
So...
You can pull portrait quality photos straight from video.
But will it last the whole trip?
Battery for the whole trip and the way back.
This is different.
Told you.
What does it take to move a nation? It starts with a dream. A dream which gains momentum and becomes bigger and better and more audacious. What does it take to move a nation? It takes the commitment to innovate and invest in breakthrough technology, to build partnerships across the continent, to create connections, to enable businesses to make their dreams a reality. What does it take to move a nation? It takes Sandy.
We are here today to pay our tribute to Dudu. Dudu was full of life. He bit, stung, and made people itch at his own will. He spread malaria with great pride. To the family, stay strong and believe that the larvae he has left behind will follow in his wings.
I heard he was killed by mosquito. His family does not know yet. I said he was killed by mosquito.
Mosquito kills mosquitoes, cockroaches, and all household insects.
Kufedi!
A product of Osho Chemical Industries.
Well, thank you for staying with us. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now, for 3 decades, Kenya has played host to citizens of neighboring nations seeking safer grounds after fleeing war, hunger, and harm in their own countries. But in the last decade, Kenya has grown uncomfortable with its guests living in 2 camps that were once the largest human settlements for refugees. At that time, Dadaab and Kakuma hosted 1 million people. But over time, those numbers have dwindled to half. Leila Mohammed looks at the impact of Kenya's decision on those who still call those camps home.
The tin roof canopy that characterizes Dadaab refugee camp in Garissa County is indifferent from Kakuma in Turkana County. Over 1,230 kilometers separate the 2 places. But despite the distance, their history and circumstances are intertwined, with residents in both camps facing another life-altering decision that they say will be difficult for them and their families. Underneath the tin canopy, life at the Dadaab refugee camp goes on. Business is alive within the expansive camp.
haddaan nahay dadka xiriyaha haddaan nahay dadka wax ma garanaynin haddaan nahay dadka qaxooti mooyaan wax kale ku kala qaadan jirin dadkii lagu dhalay qaxootiga yaa ku dhashay intee la aadsiin xagay ku hagaagahayaan xagay marahayaan ilmaha intuu ku dhashay qaxootiga haddana ku dhalay xaguu ku hagaagi ayadoo intaas argagax badan ugu dhacday 14 habeen ku dhawaaqdeen aanan seexanin oo non joogsanin oo dhankeen la idinka soo gali iyo intee la idinkaga imaan iyo dawladdu maxay sameyn ay noo qorshaysan tahay ayaan waxaan ka codsanaynaa dawladda Kenya inay si degdeg ah uga noqoto arrinta.
Many here have known no other home. They are second or even third generation refugees.
ma awoodi karno inaan Soomaaliya ku laabanno. Soomaaliya wax barasho male, meel aan degna male, isbitaallo ma aragtay noo dhisan oo aan ku hiranayna male. biyo male caafimaad male wax ay leedahay male waxyaabihii asaasiga ahaa oo dhan way maqan yihiin annagoo kolley iyo kolleyba waddanka annaga ku noqon doona gooray gaartaba laakiin waqtiga ay munaasib noo noqoto ayaan guuraynaa inta ay ma aragtay ka hagaagayso dawladda Kenya waxaan ka codsanaynaa in hawshan ay dib noogu dhigto oo aynan ma aragtay qasab emergency aysan nagaga dhigin waa mahadsantiin.
Their parents came here 31 years ago at the height of the civil war in Somalia after the fall of President Siad Barre. Going back to Somalia is not an option for many of them.
meelaan u guuro ma aqaano anigoo laba dhalaan imid oo yar haygana waan gaboobay 60kii baan madaxa la galay ilmihii saddexaad meelaan geediga u guuro ma garan hayo dhal ma aqaano dad ma aqaano awalba biyahay isiinaysay oo baadka gadiis wali oo nabadgelyada isiisay iyo dhulka ii baraxday iyo gogasha ii dhigtay waan ku mahadin hayaa.
Dahabu Ahmed, a 60-year-old mother of 10 who has lived here since fleeing Somalia in 1991, says her first major concern is the education of her children, some of whom are sitting for their final year exams.
indoola noo yaal dhagoola noo yaal haddii la ku samgole waxa noo yaal ala jiifa noo yaal haddii la ku bukaan noo yaal maral baa noo yaal dadku nooma ka ahay wax haddii la ku samgol yahay aad bay ii saamaysay dawladda Kenya waxaan ka codsanayaa dhibaatadan ay ugu daba wado inay iga dayso dawladda Kenya dhibaatana ay ugu kala wado annagu dalaan Kenya ahayn ma naqaano dalkii aan ka nimid wuu gubtay dalkan ka nimid wuu ololahayaa haddana wuu ololahayaa way isaamaysay dib ha iga celsa geediga dawladda Kenya dib ha iga celsa geediga
kan munaasab ma aha ma awoodi karno inaan Soomaaliya ku laabanno Soomaaliya wax barasho male meel aan degna male isbitaallo ma aragtay noo dhisan oo aan ku hiranayna male biyo male caafimaad male wax ay leedahay male waxyaabihii asaasiga ahaa oo dhan way maqan yihiin.
The Dadaab refugee complex consists of 3 camps. The first camp was established in 1991 when refugees fleeing the civil war in Somalia started to cross the border into Kenya. A second large influx occurred in 2011 when some 130,000 refugees arrived, fleeing drought and famine in southern Somalia. In 2018, the E4 camp was closed down when most of its residents were repatriated back home with help from the UNHCR. Over the last few years, Somalia has been hit by a desert locust invasion, floods that have left farmlands barren, severe weather conditions and a security threat that has threatened not just their homeland but neighboring Kenya as well. According to Kenyan intelligence reports, some of those plans have been made from within the refugee complex. Kenya says its decision to close the camps is aimed at protecting its people, but the refugees affected are worried it will hurt the vulnerable among them.
sidii ma garanaysaa xuquuqdii aanu lahayn tartiibtii sidii la soo celin jiray in la loo celiyo annagu ma diidan dalkanaga waanu rabnaa laakiin 14 cisho iyo 20 cisho iyo 2 bilood iyo 3 bilood toon kuma guuri karo kumana bixi karo.
UNHCR has said that while it seeks more dialogue with the Kenyan government over the matter, it is fearful of the humanitarian issues that may crop up if the decision is executed without much thought. The global pandemic that continues to affect many countries poses a challenge for repatriation. The concerns in Dadaab are echoed here at Kakuma. This refugee camp opened its doors in 1992 to refugees from neighboring to the north, many from as far as the Great Lakes region. The cultural and language diversity here is as colorful as the different nationalities that have called this place home for over 30 years.
Tumekaa hapa tumefanya biashara, tuko na watoto, tuko na family mingi, lakini sasa maneno kama sisi nasikia mbaya sana. Yani sasa hii duka tutafanyaje? For example,
tunasema asante kwa nchi ya Kenya na izidi kuwa na moyo mzuri kama huu na izidi kutulea na izidi kulea. Na sisi wakimbizi hatuna budi ama hatuna kitu kupangamiza kusema tunaweza kataa kulingana. Sisi ni mzigo kwa UN pamoja na serikali wakituamulia tufanye nini ama tuende wapi ndiko tutaenda.
Na hatuna mahali ya kurudi kwetu chenye kimedutoa na mpaka saa hii kiko ni shida na ni mauaji ilidufikia. Sasa sisi tunaomba serikali ya Kenya na UNHCR iweze kusikilizana, waangalie sisi wakimbizi tusikwende kufa bure tu tena.
For decades, host communities have lived off the land at this expansive camp. With the Kenyan government sticking to its guns, Kenyan citizens in Kakuma and Dadaab sub-counties are worried.
Wazazi wetu wengine hawana pesa ya kulipia watoto wao secondary za shule, ambaye tuna benefit kupitia shule za refugee camp. Na pia kama hapa hivi Kakuma tunapata ajira kupitia hao pia wakimbizi, kwa sababu bidhaa zetu tunazipeleka pia kuziuza huko.
Sisi tuliishi na hawa watu maka 30, tulikuwa pamoja 30 years, tulikuwa pamoja. Tumeoa wasichana yao, wameoa yetu, tumeshikana hivi kama mkono.
While resettlement of refugees from the two camps has occurred in many parts of North America and Europe over the years, Kenya says that with its status as a developing country, it hasn't been able to assimilate refugees into local communities.
Yani ukiangalia sheria ya dunia, inafaa watu wapatie kitambulisho kama wa Kenya. Sababu watu wanachukuanga kitambulisho after 4 years, 5 years, America, UK, Canada. Ukienda gambo unapata after 4 years unapata certificate of everything, documentation, lakini hapa hata wale walizaliwa hawana.
However, refugees have had access to institutions of higher learning across the country, and some have been able to do business with the proper documentation. But for the many who have been confined to the camps over the years, a sudden change will alter their lives forever.
Badala tuache tukae tu tuendelee maisha tu ya kitambo. Ndio tumezoea maisha hapa juu mimi sasa ninakaa kama Mkenya, mimi sikai kama Msudani senyewe. Juu nimezaliwa hapa na kwanza wazazi wangu waliniacha nikiwa mdogo.
Kwanza imekuja ghafla, pili muda wenyewe uliotolewa ni muda mfupi.
Hiyo maamuzi tulisikia, tumestuka, tumeogopa sana. Nchi tulitoka zilikuwa na shida.
Our livelihood depends on our businesses. Here business will be closed as usual, as you know, if you are removed, and it will be a new restart, a new fresh, a new refresh, which will be a huge blow to us.
And we give even insurance to the country. We increase the business of taxes of the country. We make more business in the camp, and also Kenya government will benefit for it.
According to the UNHCR, the refugee and asylum seeker population in Kenya stood at 508,033 persons as of 31st January 2021, which comprises of 453,156 people who are refugees, which consists of 90% of that population, and 52,782 asylum seekers, also consisting of 10% of the same population. This is a slight increase from December 2020 population of 504,854. The increase is mainly due to the resumption of registration activities by the Refugee Affairs Secretariat with the support of UNHCR. Continuous registration activities are, however, limited in urban locations due to the recommended Ministry of Health COVID-19 safety guidelines across Kenya. UNHCR also reports that the decline in populations at the camps over the years has been due to voluntary repatriation, even though no departures have so far been facilitated in the year 2021. However, a total of 2,807 individuals were registered during the last year, mainly new arrivals and newly born babies in Kakuma and Dadaab refugee camps. Hence, the total number of persons registered since January 2020 stands at 2,807, with 2,656 registered in refugee camps and 151 in urban areas. They were mainly from Burundi, DRC, Ethiopia, Somalia, South Sudan and Sudan. The UNHCR says that it is engaging Kenya further this week in a bid to find a way to address Kenya's security concerns, while also ensuring that the needs for safety, education, health, financial and human rights of the refugees are not violated. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
All right, thanks, Leila, for that report. Time for another short break. When we come back, business news is up next.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
With the Stay Soft refill, saving money is as easy as snip, pour, mix with water, and shake. Stay Soft refill. It's 2 liters of Stay Soft for up to 30% less.
Ah, Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
NTV Business News in association with Sandy.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a look at some of the stories making headlines in the world of business. And shareholders of Equity saw their market wealth plunge by 13 billion shillings during Monday's trade as the bank's share price fell by 8.4% to close the trade at 37 shillings and 55 cents. The shakeout of the market was triggered by the bank's full year 2020 results, which revealed not only a double-digit dip in earnings, but also the second consecutive year of no dividend payout to shareholders. Alex Mwangi digs into the numbers.
Equity Group Holdings will, for the second year running, not pay dividends, seeking instead to reinvest the profit and grow the size of the business. The group last year saw customer deposits spike to 740.8 billion shillings from 482.8 billion shillings in 2019. Total assets crossed the 1 trillion shilling mark, buoyed by the acquisition of BCDC Bank in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Net profit, however, took a hit, dipping 11% to 19.8 billion shillings, attributed to the effects of the pandemic.
We have seen the bank increase its market share by 2%, and that 2% increase in market share, which has translated into half a trillion liquid assets, once deployed this year, we'll see the bank bounce back to pre-COVID years in terms of performance.
Equity Group completed the purchase of BCDC Bank in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year and merged it with Equity Bank Congo to form Equity BCDC, the second largest bank in DRC. The bank managed to offer pandemic support to its clients without overstretching itself.
While we had deep pockets to support 45%, only 32% of our loan book holders required accommodation. And we are glad that by the end of the year, out of the 171 billion shillings that we accommodated, 40 billion had normalized and were paying back their loans as usual.
NCBA Bank reported its full year earnings, this being the first time its earnings for 12 months reflect those of the merged entities NIC Bank and Commercial Bank of Africa. Last year, NCBA's customer deposits grew to 421.5 billion shillings from 378.2 billion shillings. The bank's total assets during the period grew by 6.7% to 528 billion shillings from 494.8 billion shillings in 2019. Net profit dipped by 42% to 4.6 billion shillings from 7.8 billion shillings.
This came on the back of a very strong operating profit, while the group delivered an operating profit that was up 38% year over year, and profit before provisions was up 37% year over year.
2020 saw COVID-19 affect the global economy, with banks also having had to adjust to the new normal, particularly in the provision of loans.
We structured 78 billion worth of customer loans. Our non-performing loans was up 19% to come at 40.1 billion shillings, leading us to making the provisions I mentioned of 20 billion shillings.
The board of NCBA is recommending a dividend of 1 shilling and 50 cents per share to be paid on or around the annual general meeting scheduled to be held in June. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Well, the government is returning to the domestic debt market to raise 60 billion shillings to finance infrastructure projects. The National Treasury is floating an 18-year amortized infrastructure bond, whose period of sale lapses on the 6th of April. Proceeds from the bond will be deployed in financing projects in the remaining part of the financial year 2020-2021. As at the close of February 2021, the government has mopped up 598 billion shillings in domestic debt, realizing 76% of the target amount. Meanwhile, 12 counties in Kenya are set to receive a market upgrade under a project by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, which is set to help boost the agriculture sector and job creation. Well, the project, titled the Market Access Upgrade Program, was launched in Makueni County, which is among the 12 counties. Makueni, which is Kenya's top mango producer, is set to enhance quality and readiness for the reopening of the European Union market through the project. The sector is valued at approximately 3 billion Kenya shillings. The 3.7 million shillings markup program is expected to increase market access and create more sustainable jobs.
Communities, we increase revenues that the country gets when we export our products outside the country, and generally we create jobs both from the farmer group levels, exporters, and also at the national level.
It seeks to ensure that farmers at the grassroots get a just reward from their work, because they'll be helped to work on the quality of what is produced so that it can access domestic and international markets.
Now, companies need to be cognizant of the changes taking place in trade cycles owing to the COVID-19 pandemic and adjust accordingly when it comes to financial reporting. That was one of the key messages at this year's Financial Reporting Awards. The theme for the annual awards this year is financial reporting in uncertain times, given the tough environment that many businesses find themselves in. The 19th edition of the FIRE Awards saw a host of winners feted for adhering to financial reporting principles. Former Chief Justice David Maraga, who was the chief guest at the colourful event, stressed on the need for businesses to have integrity. The FIRE Awards is now a regional event, with a Tanzanian firm having scooped the top prize in the annual award 2 years ago.
We are seeing in the capital markets, for instance, the demand by investors today that companies embrace integrated reporting and really ESG reporting, so that they're able to understand more, and they're more interested in seeing how the governance standards are being addressed or being achieved. So we believe this is going to go a long way towards addressing that.
In fact, as we talk about making Nairobi an international financial center, these are some of those things that we need to promote, because investors all over the world are looking for credible information. And therefore, if we think about attracting investors, these are some of the initiatives we want to promote.
And that's our close on business news. Let's take another short break. We'll be back with more.
NTV Business News in association with Sendi.
What does it take to move a nation? It takes Sendi.
Malaria ni ugonjwa hatari sana unaoua watu wengi hapa Kenya. Japo kuko na corona, hatari ya malaria bado iko. Mtoto huyu alikuwa na joto jingi, kutetemeka, kuumwa na viungo na uchovu. Alikimbizwa hospitali ya umma ambako sheria za COVID-19 huzingatiwa na ni salama kwa shughuli ya upimaji. Vipimo vilionyesha kuwa ana malaria na papo hapo daktari akampa dawa za malaria na kumshauri azimalize, na ili kujikinga wawe wakilala ndani ya neti iliyotibiwa. Malaria husambazwa na mbu. Walio hatarini ni watoto wa chini ya miaka 5 na akina mama wajawazito. Kupimwa na kutibiwa ni bure katika hospitali zote za umma. Usisahau adui malaria. Zero malaria huanza na mimi. Chukua jukumu leo. Komesha malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Afya.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there. Selena, it's great seeing you getting so much value for your money.
Well, it's important to save as much as you can.
You save everywhere. Except for here. This is where you're throwing money down the drain.
How?
On these cleaning products.
Impossible.
Harpic 10X. While other cleaners flow away, Harpic 10X's viscous formula in only one round of application gives you sparkling, clean toilet. Harpic, 10 times better cleaning than other cleaning products.
And great savings too.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief, and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance. This has been Medifax for Panadol.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongeze zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Ndio nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444 utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Glad you could stay with us. Now, the burial plans for the late Mama Sarah Obama, who died on Monday morning at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital, are complete. The body of Mama Sarah arrived at her home in Kogelo village this afternoon for an overnight stay ahead of her burial scheduled for Tuesday morning. That's tomorrow. Okakusa reports.
The 99-year-old Sarah Hussein Obama breathed her last at 4:45 a.m. Mama Sarah, who had been admitted to the intensive care unit of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital, is said to have succumbed to a chest infection.
Hajafariki na COVID. Jana aliweza kufanyiwa utafiti ya COVID na KEMRI, wakapata ya kuwa mama hana COVID.
The matriarch of the Obama family had been ailing for some time and had been in and out of hospital.
Mama alikuwa na ugua takriban zaidi ya wiki imepita, alikuwa na ugua, na baada ya mambo ya lockdown ikabidi familia iweze kuangalia namna ambavyo mama atapata matibabu.
Kisumu Governor Anyang' Nyong'o led hundreds of mourners to pay their last respect to the late Mama Sarah, an emotional moment that saw some family members break down.
We share the loss of a great-grandmother, a great mother, a great Kenyan.
Former US President Barack Obama is among the dignitaries who sent their condolences to the family. President Uhuru Kenyatta too sent his condolences to the family, describing the late Sarah Obama as a strong, virtuous woman. ODM leader Raila Odinga eulogized Mama Sarah as a symbol of resilience and confidence. Mama Sarah will be buried tomorrow at her home in Kogelo village in accordance with Islamic dictates. Ouko Kusa, NTV.
And may her soul rest in eternal peace. And in Islamic tradition, we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with a sporting action.
Get fresh, gotta